Hello, I'm Debbie at Off Topic Things I Didn't Plan to Learn. Today I've got a subject that's very, very important for anybody that's watching and for your family as well. It's something that has greatly affected me, and I want to talk about it so that you may be made aware of it because it has come as a shock to me. Um, the day before I was moving to Costa Rica, I went to an ophthalmologist to have an eye exam. And I thought that just as a precaution before I left, I had been checking everything out. I checked my teeth, and so I was checking out my eyes at the ophthalmologist office. I went through my exam, and at the time, my vision was really bad. It was 2400, um, which I was able to correct to 2020 with glasses. But 2400 is legally blind if you can't correct it with glasses. Um, so my up close vision was 2020 all the time. I've had 2020 vision my entire life. So anyway, um, at the end of the eye exam, he said, "I'm going to check you for glaucoma." And every year I'd been checked for glaucoma at various eye doctors, at various ophthalmologists. And so I was glad that I was being checked for that. So he said, okay, we're going to do the blow test where we're going to put a puff of air on each of your eyes to check the pressure. So he did that, and he said, very good. You don't have glaucoma. And I said, yay, great, that's good news. So then as I went to pay to check out, the doctor said, I think you should come back this afternoon because we have some other tests that we can check for glaucoma just to be sure. And so I thought, well, maybe I better do that. So I came back in the afternoon for the other tests. And during those tests, it turned out that I did have glaucoma. And so I was really shocked because all the years that I had been going and having that other blow test or a test where they take a solid instrument and touch it to your eyeball, I had been told I did not have glaucoma with that pressure test. But with these other more advanced tests, it showed that I did. So I didn't really know the implications of having glaucoma. I didn't really know very much more about it. I knew that my dad probably had it because he'd always said to us that it looked like he was driving with tunnel vision and different things like that, that his vision was really impaired. So I always suspected that maybe he had glaucoma. So before I went to Costa Rica, the doctor said, as soon as you get there, you're going to need to find an ophthalmologist because you're going to need to do some things to prevent it from getting worse. So I got to Costa Rica, and within the first couple of weeks, I located an ophthalmologist in a different town, and I went to him. And he was very, very good. He was from Germany, and he explained everything to me, and he did some preliminary tests, different from the ones that I had in the United States. And, he also found that I definitely had glaucoma. And he told me that I was going to need to take these eye drops, and I was going to need to take them twice a day, and that I could not miss them at all because they were to help to regulate the pressure in my eyes. And he explained that once you have glaucoma, the damage that has been done to your retinal nerves cannot be repaired. The only thing that the drops can do is to help it from getting worse. it might not totally prevent it from getting worse, but it can help it from getting worse. So every time I would be coming in, he was going to be checking my eye pressure because that was what was most important to check to see how the glaucoma was doing, if it was holding off the damage. So I did the eye drops every day, and I was definitely very observant about that. And in fact, I had to go to that hospital in another town to pick up the eye drops, and I had to wait for 4 hours every time I went. And it was very inconvenient because I had to ride the bus, several buses to get there. I had to wait 4 hours, and then I had to ride several buses back. So it was like an all-day trip for me just to get my eye drops every month. But I did it. And the eye drops were by prescription, so there was no other way that I could get them. After I'd been in Costa Rica for a few years, then I was able to get the eye drops in my own town, and that worked out a lot better because I didn't have to make that bus trip, and I didn't have to wait the 4 hours. So that worked out a lot better. Eventually, I went through the healthcare system in Costa Rica because my ophthalmologist moved to Germany. He moved back to Germany. So I got on with the healthcare system, and I had some really excellent ophthalmologists that I saw regularly. And they checked my eyes, and they did thermal imaging of my eyes to see the inside of them, to see how they were doing. And they were excellent. I even went to the hospital, and I had some other tests done there, and they were done with some machines that I had never seen before, and they were very, very advanced. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about later on. Right before I moved back to the United States, I had cataract surgery at that same hospital because the cataracts could turn into blindness if you didn't get them removed. So I definitely didn't want that. So the surgeons removed one cataract, and 2 weeks later they removed the other cataract in the other eye. And I had 20/20 vision. And at my checkout, when I was leaving the hospital after the final surgery, the ophthalmologist looked at both my eyes, and he said, and he looked very distressed when he told me, but he goes, "Oh, you have advanced glaucoma." And I said, "Yes, I do." And so he said, "Oh, well, make sure that you take your eye drops, make sure you continue that, and keep going for your checkups." And I said, "Yes, I will." Well, I moved back to the United States, and after about a year and a half, I started to go to an ophthalmologist here in the United States, and I had one of my lenses that I had received, the new lenses, became clouded over. And I was told that often happens when you have cataract surgery, that they become cloudy. And so I wasn't having 20/20 vision anymore. My right eye was, I don't even know what the vision was, but I could barely see out of it. So the ophthalmologist said, I'm going to do a laser treatment on you, and I'm going to laser out all the cloudy stuff. So he did that, and then he said, you could do that on your left eye too, because it looks like it's getting cloudy. And I said, well, I can still see out of my left eye really well. I said, I think I still have 20/20 vision in it, so I don't think that I need that right now. So I said, let me wait a little while and see what happens. So I waited, and eventually that too clouded over, and I went to see the ophthalmologist. And this past week, when I was there to try to get the laser surgery, he said, well, I want to check to make sure that I'm doing this surgery for the right reasons. He said, I want to make sure that this is what you really need. And I said, okay. So they did some other kinds of tests. And the doctor, his assistant did the test. And then the ophthalmologist came back in the room and he said, well, your left eye, which is the worst of the two eyes for the glaucoma, is the one that you're trying to get the surgery in, the laser surgery. And he said that it's really, really damaged. And he showed me what it looked like inside. And he said, I'm not really sure if this is going to work or not. It might work and it might not work. And so anyway, when I saw the pictures of what my eye looked like inside and how much damage there was, I realized that this had been going on a very long time before I ever knew about it. In order to have all that damage, it was going on for many, many years. And every year I had been to the ophthalmologist and had that blow test done, or the test where they put the instrument against your eyeball and measured the pressure. Every year I had that done. And every year they had told me, you don't have glaucoma. So every year I was like, oh, great, I'm fine. But indeed, I did. During, I don't know how many of those years, but during many of those years, I had glaucoma developing. And now it's developed to the point where I could go blind, who knows when, but it could happen soon. So what I'm making this video about is just to let you know that that particular test may not be definitive as to whether or not you have glaucoma. It wasn't for me at all. And during that whole time when I thought I was out of the woods, I wasn't. I was in the woods. I was in really deep trouble. And I had no idea, because my eyes did not show any different signs of glaucoma. I didn't have anything like my dad where he had tunnel vision. I didn't have that going on. My eyes were just normal. My vision wasn't the greatest, but that other people had the same types of vision that I had, and they didn't have glaucoma. Unless maybe they did and they didn't know it either. But what I'm just saying is, it's better for you to get a more advanced test than that test, because that test obviously is not good enough to detect glaucoma in all cases. So that's the reason I'm making this video, because I'm seriously worried for all the people out there that have that test and think that they're fine. And then someday they will go blind and they won't even know that it wouldn't have even known it was coming. So think about it. Think it over. You might have to pay a little bit more money for additional, more advanced tests, but it is well worth it. Okay? So please think about this, and if this has been valuable information for you, or if you're interested in my content, please subscribe. Please hit the like button and the notification bell, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you for coming.